Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon. I'm so glad some faces, popular faces who are supporting us every year are here. So I'm so happy. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to ADHICA 2025 International Women's Day event. With great support from the Consulate, the Philippine Embassy, various community organizations, and sponsors, volunteers, to you all, wonderful ladies and gentlemen here today. ADHICA has been able to undertake International Women's Day for the last 12 years. And recently, ADHICA Incorporated collaborated with Kababaihang Rizalista Incorporated Civic Chapter for the last 3 years. Which I believe very fitting to the women advocacies of both organizations. We encourage other women or other women's groups to collaborate to show to the mainstream Australia that we are united to advance gender-balanced world. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with us to pay tribute to women and celebrate their contributions to society, as well as for girls to ensure that they grow up empowered to take on challenges along the way. We are humbled that the Philippine Consulate General, of course I will be coming a bit later, headed by Consul General Charmaine Rowena Abiquibil, has partnered with us every year, together with Consul Sheila Marie. They're all coming from the consulate, full staff actually every year, to celebrate with us International Women's Day. We also have all the honorees this afternoon, and then this forum will be a great education or empowerment really that will be discussed later by the panel. The United Nations theme for International Women's Day 2023 is March Forward. We say driving innovation, accelerating equality. It explores the impact of gender gap on widening economic and social inequalities. The gender pay gap, safety and support for carers, and single mothers are some of the areas in which women are not yet treated fairly. With the goal of fostering a society where all women have equal rights, power, and opportunities, the Philippines' 2025 National Women's Month celebration carries the sub-theme, Babae sa lahat ng sektor, aangat ang bukas sa bagong Pilipinas. This reinforces the core objectives of Republic Act 9710, or the Magna Carta of Women, to empower women, promote gender equality, and ensure equitable access to resources and opportunities. Even though the themes of the International Women's Day celebrations by various entities are expressed differently, they are geared towards achieving the same thing, that women and girls are empowered so that they advance to overcome the identified inequities and challenges along the way. And this is why ADHICA undertakes the forum in its International Women's Day celebration. It believes empowered and inspired to participate in initiatives and strategies aimed to address women issues. On behalf of ADHICA Incorporated, happy International Women's Day, and thank you all for joining and supporting us in this great initiative, which is inspiring and engaging in the multicultural and mainstream Australian society. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. At this time, short. Thank you. May I introduce one of our very own, esteemed lady, valued and admired by the Filipino Australian and the mainstream community. As the only Filipina, a member of the Australian Women Executives, an awardee of the Foundation for Filipino Women's Network based in USA, and the president of Kababaihan Rizalista Incorporated Sydney chapter, and Adhika Incorporated founding director and editor-in-chief of Money Magazine, Ms. Michelle Baltazar.
Thank you for that generous introduction, Tita Josie. I'm sending the check in the mail for you shortly. But in all honesty, welcome to our International Women's Day event. We've been holding this for 12 years now, so isang decena. We want to hopefully lampas the calendar more than 31 years. It would be good to continue this, essentially because this is the IWD for Filipino-Australian women. So we have our voice, we have the platform. Every year we have a forum that discusses all the very important issues that face us today. And I know that one of my colleagues, my KRI secretary, Viola Calvert, will be talking about that. Tita Josie really succinctly described what it is that we're doing today, and our biggest thanks to the Philippine Consul General and the Philippine Consulate Office. Isang barkada sila, so they come here every year, and we're extremely proud of their participation. And then looking at the floor right now, I can see our 2025 IWD honorees. So once again, advance congratulations. I know I've said congratulations to some of you, but tonight is a celebration. You've worked hard for everything that you've achieved. You've put in the time, especially those of you who are civic-minded, community work. I'm seeing table 5 as well, where every year talagang frequent flyer points in all the community events. I'll keep it short. I truly hope that this afternoon and this evening is a worthwhile event for you to attend. We would love for you to come every year. Please engage in the questions and answers, and most of all, have a great time. Some of you know each other, but some of you have met each other for the first time today. Use this opportunity to network. There are so many women here who are passionate about what they do. It would be great to connect you all. And with that, I'll leave it there, but if you want to say hi later, please do so. I'd love to connect with you on social and old school mobile phone or snail mail. But now, again, we are going to open the forum. This is what we do. We spend an hour or so before the gala on a discussion. And to do that, I would like to invite, I've mentioned her earlier, my friend, my inspiration. She's a longtime community broadcaster, formerly at Radyo Tagumpay for 11 years. She's been doing community work for 16 years, but also an awardee for a host of community awards, including the inaugural Mother's Day Awards from PhilSpark, from NARA, among many things. Bigyan niyo po siya ng masigabong palakpak, si Binibining Viola Calvert.
Ayan, nabulgar na. Matanda na. Anyway, magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Very good afternoon to you all. I'm really feeling humbled, honored, and excited to be in the same room as so many empowered women and girls, as well as men who support women and their advocacy. A lot of what I was going to say has been covered by Josie and Michelle. So, salamat po. So, I'll skip those paragraphs. The month of March is dedicated to celebrating women's achievements in their varied fields of expertise, as well as the achievements of girls in our community who at their young age have been performing in events that raise funds that support projects and initiatives for community organizations. This year's International Women's Day overall theme is Women Driving Innovation, Accelerating Equality. Today we are honoring 7 empowered women and 3 youths, 3 young girls, very talented. And may I say that for the very, very first time, we are honoring a grandma and her granddaughter in the one event. This will be Liz and Amelia, who will be here in a bit. So we mentioned that Anika has been doing this for the last 12 years, and the last 3 years, KRI also joining because we support and we share the same goals and mission for women. This forum and gala also raise funds so that we help projects and initiatives. For example, Alhita sent books and other resources to school children in Bicol, whereas Alhita supported Child Dreamers Tondo, which caters to the Smoky Mountains children. And also through the KRI HQ, we provided some funds to do some alteration for maintenance to a Jose Rizal school. Now, this forum, more important of all, we rarely have opportunities to have Filipino women on stage to express their views on matters that shape us, our personal growth, our profession, and this year, our contribution to the socio-economic progress of the country through better gender equity, better treatment of women, and the fight against domestic violence, and of course, financial independence for women. See Sheila later for that. Giving due recognition and value to contributions of educational and noble endeavors such as KRI pursuing the promotion of Rizal's ideals. In our forum, we are grateful for the participation of amazing women. Brenda Gadi from the Women of Color Australia. Ronald Guzman, 2025 IWD awardee. Marie-Beth Lakian, 2023 IWD awardee. And Liz O'Malley Angeles, 2025 IWD awardee. And of course, with Sheila Kabakungan, Certified Financial Advisor, Self-Managed Superannuation Specialist, Broadcaster, and member of SWAR 99.9 FM. So the discussion, as mentioned before, will be about Filipino women's contribution to Australia's socio-economic progress by driving innovation, strengthening community relations, and accelerating gender equity. So each panelist will share about 3 to 5 minutes talk, and then we will have a Q&A. And that's where you also can participate later on. So, I look forward to coming back on stage later on to help out in the Q&A. Marami pong salamat. Thank you very much.
pleasure and privilege to moderate this panel of amazing women. And one thing I do know is there are more amazing women in this audience than I've ever seen in a similar event. And this goes to the power of Lady Michelle and Lady Violi and all of the women in here to bring us all together. I would first of all like to introduce Brenda Gagnon. She's a visionary leader and a LinkedIn change maker, dedicated to advancing diversity, equity and inclusion in the corporate world. As the founder and executive director of Women in Colour Australia, Brenda has created a platform that empowers and uplifts culturally and racially diverse women, fostering a more inclusive and equitable society. Her transformative work inspires individuals and organisations to embrace their unique identities, practice self-advocacy and engage in active allyship. With her passion and expertise, Brenda continues to drive positive change, creating opportunities for women of colour as they thrive as leaders in their respective fields. Please join me in welcoming Brenda Gagnon. Actually, one of the things that I'm intrigued by is what Women of Colour Australia is.
I'm not prepared, but I just wanted to say, magandang hapon mga kaibigan, mga kapatid. That means for those non-Filipino speakers, good evening, my brothers and my sisters. Before I begin my very short talk, impromptu, I would like to firstly acknowledge the space that I occupy in this colonial settler continent. I would like to acknowledge the Darug people of this land, paying my respects to Aboriginals, past and present, also extending that acknowledgement and that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who are joining us here tonight. I would also like to acknowledge that we are all settlers in this land and we are beneficiaries of the ongoing genocide, colonial violence, and dispossession of the first peoples of this land. And I believe, and we at Women of Colour Australia believe that it is our moral imperative and collective responsibility to ensure that we're doing our bit to dismantle the inequities, the structural inequities that still hurt the First Nations peoples of this land. And acknowledging that this land, all of it, this land, the skies, and the waterways is and always will be Aboriginal land, and that sovereignty was never ceded. So, Women of Colour Australia, for those of you who are unfamiliar, quick show of hands. How many of you have heard of Women of Colour Australia? I just want to see. Okay, no one has heard of the organization. Okay, so Women of Colour Australia is an advocacy organization, very much grounded on research. We exist to champion the voices, the lived and living experiences of women of color in all places and spaces, with a particular emphasis on creating equity and advancing representation of women of color or women from minoritized racialized backgrounds in modern day Australia. Again, quick pop quiz. How many of you are familiar with the term women of color? Yay! Awesome. Alright, so for those of you unfamiliar with the term, bit of education, so it's actually a term that is not about biological designation. It's not about the color of the skin, but rather it's a statement of solidarity. It started in the US, so the year was around 1977, and then President Carter was going to be at, there was a National Women's Conference happening in Houston, Texas. And so the purpose of that conference is to advance gender equality, equity. And in that, they were going to present this document to the then president, essentially, advancing gender equality. And so it was organized by mostly white women, and they have this 300 pages document called Advancing Women's Agenda. And then in there, about 3 pages were dedicated to minority women's land, or minority women. Funny thing is, the black women in Washington, D.C.
heard about this conference and decided, you know what, we're going to turn up at this conference and present our case because we deserve more than 2 to 3 pages. And so, funny thing happened on the way to Houston, Texas. Latinas, Pacific Islanders, other women of color decided, you know, can we become part of the Black Women's agenda? And so they gathered and they decided, yes, come in, sisters, you know, we want you to be part of this initiative. But then they cannot call it Black Women's agenda anymore because of all these, you know, women from diverse backgrounds and experiences. And so the term women of color was born. It is a statement of solidarity, not a biological designation. It is a statement of, it is a movement that is really grounded on helping each other advance, you know, gender equality and equity. So that's a very short history. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, so Women of Color Australia are all about seeing, our theory of change, if you will, is seeing more women of color in positions of power. Mindful though of not replicating the same power structures that exist today. So I hope that makes sense. All right, that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I look forward, yes, on that first chair there. I wanted to next introduce Lady Meredith. Now, the thing I love about her is that when she sends her biography through, or whenever she talks about herself, she mentions first and foremost the fact that she is Jojo's wife, and that she is Jem and Joy's mother. And then she'll list for you all of the work that she does in community. So we know her as a chaplain in the Diocese of Parramatta. We know her as a leader in KRI. We know her for so many different things. And then she'll tell us about her professional journey. And she's had a very diverse one. So I'm going to actually invite her to the stage to have a seat and join our panel. And also introduce all of our other panelists so that we can get into this forum. So the next lady I wanted to introduce was Rona Guzman. Now Rona, her work as a migrant in the Filipino community, she's basically, she represents multiculturalism for me. She's all about social cohesion and taking every opportunity to influence collaboration across communities. She's an accomplished leader. She holds a social science degree specializing in counseling, community services, case management, corporate marketing. There's nothing this woman can't do, but at the moment she's really interested in aging and how we are aging with dignity. So I would love to invite her onto the stage as well. And last but never least is Liz. I know. She's an exceptional leader. She's an entrepreneur. She is using real estate as a platform to actually empower us as a community. And I just can't wait for all of these ladies to come on stage. And let's get into this topic. Okay, ladies, I know that you're going to be fleshing out all of your stories and how you got here and what success means to you, because at the end of the day, every single one of us contributes to the socio-economic development of this country, because it's the migrant story, it's all of our stories combined. But one of the things I would love to know is, some of you have mentioned social cohesion as something that's very important to you. Some of you work in the aged care or the health services space. Some of you also work in wealth management and are also looking at how we can build our wealth through the acquisition of property or the sharing of wealth across families. So in a sense, I think my question would be, what area of progress of our country as a whole? So yes, we are individuals, we're part of families, but how does what we do or what you do specifically contribute to the prosperity of this country? I know that's a big question. Who wants to go first?
Okay, good afternoon everyone. And firstly, thank you for the people who nominated me here. Tita Daisy, Yoli, and Ben. Alright, and I'm always attending this Adhika, right? And a very simple but a very meaningful event every year. Alright, so with my, I've been here in Australia for 36 years. I think 1989, right? And I'm so excited to see Filipinos when I first came here. And then I got involved 2004 initially in producing. 2004, right? I think if you remember Diva to Diva, Tulidesma, Sasha Padilla in Hillsong. and then I've got the 5 OPMs, and then Gary Valenciano. And then I help a lot of the producers as well, support. So I am the type of person that if I'm not the producer, I'm not gonna sell. I think I sell, I support because I know the hardship. Plus the fact that since 2004, I'm already, so that's 21st year now, sponsoring all the events. I am Filipino, right? So because I know how hard it is, so I'm very, very thankful. And I think that's a good thing for Filipinos, I know that we are so kawang gawa. Like, I know it's hard to produce like this one, even simple. So as much as I can, as long as I'm with Megawatt, as long as I am with the Australian property, I'll be here. Alright, so yeah, with the Australian property, the reason why I got involved, right, is I want to help a lot of people. A lot of people doesn't understand, they don't know where to start, how, when, right, all these questions. So I was able to help a lot of people, first-time buyers, investors, to help them create wealth, right? It is very important for us. So how do we help, like the Australian? Why? Because if we help ourselves build our own wealth, it means that we're not going to rely on the government, right? Let's leave all the benefits really to the true people that cannot. But I'm so proud to say that with Filipinos, I haven't met, or I don't have any friends who have 2 jobs, right? We are all very well here, but I just felt sorry because some doesn't understand how to invest, especially the young ones. Who would think that the prices, okay, from Campbell to Rudy Hill, for instance, before houses are 120,000, right? Now it's 1.2 million. So we really need to help these people start. A lot of people have a lot of millions sitting on their equity, millions doing nothing. All right, so let's help the government as well. And then for the Mega World Anyway in the Philippines, we're helping Philippines. We're helping the economy. Like you are bayani, hero, if you buy property in the Philippines. Why? You're sending money, remittance. And I think you've seen already how good, the Philippines now. It's iba na, landscape. My children were born here, and they were all happy and surprised how beautiful Philippines is. And of course, Australia is I can say it's a home now, right? So really, the benefits that we have in Australia, infrastructure and everything. So we help Australian government if we're buying properties. And I'm proud to say, all the developers, they love Filipinos. They love Filipinos. They're all poaching Filipinos to be part of their marketing because they know we work very hard. We work very hard. It doesn't matter we eat noodles. We make sure that we pay the mortgage. That's why they love Filipinos. All right? So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I might throw to Lady Meredith first because she is an embodiment of exactly what you just said, which is you come to the country, you get any job that you potentially can, and you raise a family. And if anything, we were talking before about that being your contribution ultimately to the growth of this country. I'd love for you to share that.
That's correct, Sheila. Thank you very much for inviting me as one of the panelists. First of all, when I came here, my profession is a civil engineer in the Philippines. But when I started here in 1991, it was a recession. And so I got a job of the hotel industry. I started in housekeeping, but after like 5 years, I went up to the ranks of a reservations manager at the Shangri-La Hotel in Sydney, and I was there for 5 years. And then suddenly, many were surprised why I ended up at InvoCare, which I am the memorial consultant. Nothing else but hard work, dedication. And this hard work and dedication that I and my husband had is the value that we gave to our children who were born here in Australia, to my kids, one a 31-year-old boy and my 21-year-old girl. But in any way, to make it short, we were resilient. We didn't choose any job. We went through the job. we made good, we saved and we try to understand. How did we understand about property management, about real estate? Well, first of all, Tita Daisy is here. She's one of the inspiration of my children, especially my little girl Joy. When she was 19, she bought her first property, a one-bedroom property at Schofields, also with the help of course, Alan and Quarter Acre and their Tita Liz. Now, to make all the connections, how did it end up like this? Because we instill to our children that you have to learn, you don't choose. And for me, being a civil engineer, becoming a housekeeper, when I came to Australia, I always put in my mind, we are ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. We are not servants. So we have to appreciate whatever job we have to enjoy. And another thing is, the thing that I always try to embrace is the 3 steps of service, wherein welcome, you have a warm welcome, anticipation of guest needs, and fond farewell. If you have these, and my favorite words, please and thank you can go anywhere, you cannot go wrong. Now, in relation to how we help the government, well, we were workers with my husband, but we were paying the right taxes. We tried to help the government, and now because we understood about property management through community networks, we attend all the workshops that we can, and we understand, and then we pass it to our children, and now our children understand, and little by little, with their young ages, they are considering themselves to be entrepreneurs and investors. So that's how I
Thank you, Lady Meredith.
Thank you.
I'm seeing a theme here with our first 2 speakers, Lady Liz and Lady Meredith. And I guess what I'm looking at too is, Lady Verona, you are, to me, a servant's heart. Because you are working you've had such a diverse career, you're getting corporate marketing, but now you're actually in the throes of working on some of the biggest social issues that we have, which is aging with dignity and looking at social cohesion and issues that literally can be pulling us apart or binding us more closely together. And I guess as Filipino Australians, we did come here maybe we've got 6 generations in Australia now, like all the way from my parents and people like Lady Liz and Lady Meredith and then us. And we've had children and we're now having grandchildren now too. What's it like from your perspective and the roles that you hold, both in the community and for your professional life? This social cohesion thing is something you mentioned quite a bit. I'd love to get your take on that and how you're contributing to progressing Australia.
Look, first of all, I want to acknowledge that I absolutely feel honoured to be in a room full of many women and individuals who are just inspiring me. And the reason why I sit here today is actually by watching everyone around me. So it's by watching all of you who are leaders before me. So I want to celebrate you while I sit here. So thank you. I guess I wear many hats in the community. My day-to-day job that pays me to live my life is in aged care. So we have a home care business with 200 staff, and for me, if I think of a question on how I am contributing through that work, is we have a workforce, so we have staff members who are really keen to help the elderly, people living with disability. And my role as a director of that company is to set a model, to be a model, and to be a loving and caring model, so that in their own work, when they feel supported and cared for and value the staff members, they will put the client as number one. They will always do the best that they can in terms of caring for that person. And when we have good employees, happy employees, they stay in the company. So they stay in the company that I'm part of, which is this is our 9th year, and many of the staff members have been there for that long. And so they are a stable workforce, and they're out there advocating for the value of the caring role, which in itself contributes to the Australian economy. If we look at the other sectors, mining and construction and education,
the care sector is actually up there. If we look at healthcare, look at disability care and aged care. So I'm very proud to have a business that plays a big part in elevating us as Filipinos. And I think we're the 5th largest migrant community, and I know that will only grow because of the way we are. We're resilient and proud and driven individuals, and I'm so proud to be here to be part of the community. From a community hat, so I'm actually the multicultural advisor for Burwood Council. I'm also, thank you, and I'm also the cultural mentor for Waverley Council. And so a board member for Multicultural Communities Council. So as you can hear, multiculturalism is really big in my heart and mind, and with that is social cohesion. And for me, what that means is, regardless of where you've come from, what you've done in your life, who you are, you're part of the community, and we all need to connect. And through my work in those community hats, I exemplify a Filipina, you know, that this is us. We are loving.
Community that she's now just been exposed to. Because she was saying to me before the event that you're relatively new to our community, to ADICA and KRI. So I would love to hear from you around, you spoke about Women of Colour Australia. What do you see as the biggest challenge for your organisation, and how can we as a community help you and support you, and in turn Women of Colour?
I think the biggest challenge for us is, if you touched on this, we talk about multiculturalism and how we are so very proud that Australia is a multicultural nation. But really, if we unpack that and really look beyond that, we are very much a monocultural society. We are a multicultural nation, yes, but in terms of who occupies the seats of power in this country, if you see our tech, our finance, our politics is still very much white, dominant culture society. So our work in Women of Colour Australia is really dismantling that and challenging that. Because what we want is to see more women of color, more culturally and linguistically diverse women in positions of power. I think Josie touched on this, we talked about the gender pay gap. As it is at the moment, it is about 20%. That converts to about, we earn as women, we earn $28,000 less annually. I'd like to ask you a question. Over like 40-year lifespan, how much do you think are we losing? Just a figure. Anyone wants to take a guess? How much are we losing with this gender pay gap? All right. 20? Yeah, but how much in dollars? Take a guess.
My maths brain will go 28,000 times 40.
Yeah.
And I can't calculate that in my head, sorry.
Over a 40-year lifespan, which is our working years, $3 million. That's how much we lose. So our purpose, if you will, in Women of Colour Australia, because there's no data with the ethnic pay gap. Now, when we talk about women, we're mostly the white women, but there's no intersectional data. And that's what we're fighting for in Women of Colour. We want to find out, because really, we're probably losing more. It's not 20% of gender pay gap. Intersect is probably 30% close, like what? That's like 4 or 5 mil over lifetime. So that's a lot. So that's what we do.
And potentially is Lady Rona's model of going into business and then employing in a sector that can grow and a way through that as well. I'd be interested in exploring that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, this is our forum, and I think we've heard from the panel. I want to open the floor to questions. Who has any questions? Don't be shy. Oh, Lady Jess. Now, Jess is a fellow broadcaster at Swan 99.9. She is also the host of a radio show called Culture Connection Australia, and a lawyer as well.
So, maayong punto sa tanan. Good evening, everyone. And my question predominantly is for you, Brenda. Filipinos have such a vibrant and noticeable presence in Australia, yet there is no one in Australian Parliament representing Filipinos. What systemic barriers or what factors expertise, and do you think we can get there?
I think we can definitely, what about this test, and I see you, someone who can represent us. But I think for us, as Filipinos, there's a lot of cultural and social conditioning. We're told to like be quiet, don't rock the boat, go with the flow and all those things. And I think it's time we squash that stereotype because we are strong. This woman here running her own business, and shift that because it's just that we're so scared to step into our power. But you know what? We don't need to ask permission. You can just go ahead and do it. And so for me, it's step into your power and find your community of support. Activate those pillars of support. There's a lot. Instrument alone. Activate the sisterhood, the solidarity, because we can't do it alone. It has to be all of us. It has to come from all of us.
I guess definitely there's room. We need to be there at the table where decisions are made. I agree. Just overall. And look, what's held us back? Okay, the same point. We're very humble. We're very strong and resilient, but we would rather. I know as a you're growing up, I want to stay in the background, shadows, even though I was the president of the classroom or the year. Well, I think the front. Very confronting and very tricky as a young girl because I thought I could see my peers. Western way of thinking that you're at the front, you're shining, you're standing proud. So there's a lot of work there. But I always want is my values. As a Filipina, and just carry on that. And yes, I can stand in the front, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And it's sort of just blend all of it. I deserve great because there's an opportunity for the Filipino community for someone to be wearing, the position of where we can be involved in decision making. I'm really